to talk to you all about another thing that happens during Jefferson's administration, and that is the Chesapeake Leopard affair. Now, to set this up for you, we're in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars at this point. So Napoleon, he's trying to take over Europe. Okay, it kind of reminds me of Pinky and the Brain, all right? Pinky's like, "What are we going to do tonight, Napoleon?" He's like, "Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world." And so the two main combatants at this point of the Napoleonic Wars are really Britain and France. So they're going back and forth. And what happens a lot of times when nations are at war and navies are involved, the ships that are from countries that are neutral a lot of times get caught up in the middle of that. There's a lot of piracy that takes place. There's a lot of raiding. The British really enjoyed capturing ships and impressing the sailors from those ships. Now, how do you impress a sailor? You have a really nice ship, okay? Hey, what do you think of my ship, right? Are you impressed? No. They press sailors into service, claiming, "Oh, you're supposed to be British citizens anyway." They're like, "No, we're Americans." They're like, "Yeah, we don't recognize that." And so there's been several incidents. The U.S. Navy, while small and infantile it is at this point, has been dealing with a lot of international incidents, from piracy, from the Barbary pirates, dealing with Britain and France. And then we have this incident that takes place in 1807 in which the British ship, the HMS Leopard, fires on the USS Chesapeake. And they're really just a few miles off of Virginia. So they're not over on the European side of the Atlantic. It takes place pretty close to home. And 3 sailors died, and they captured a bunch of others and impressed them into service aboard the Leopard. And that gets a lot of people really riled up, and they look to Jefferson to do something about this. And so Jefferson says, "Okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do a complete trade embargo. Okay, a complete, we're just going to shut it all off. We're shutting down all trade." That might seem extreme, especially if you understand how international economics works. But to Jefferson, it made a lot of sense, because Jefferson's grand vision for the American economy was to become 100% self-sustaining. He believed that America's power would come through having a very strong agricultural sector in which we would make everything that we needed for ourselves, grow what we needed, really not need anything from anybody else. Which is why he jumped at the chance for the Louisiana Purchase, not considering what some of the negative effects of that might be. But he really wanted to expand our agricultural power. And so it makes perfect sense to Jefferson to say, "Okay, listen, we're just not going to trade with anybody." Now, it doesn't take very long for everybody to figure out that that's not a good idea, that it actually causes an economic depression. And so nearing the end of Jefferson's time in office, because he was a 2-termer like Washington, he seeks to repeal that. And so we see the end of the Embargo Act. Then we start to see the introduction of the Non-Intercourse Act, which, by the way, intercourse means trade, okay, it means exchange, all right? Not the other thing. That's a study for another time. So the Non-Intercourse Act, and of course we see Macon's Bill number 2 that comes along to try to offset all of that, trying to get the economy righted again. And of course, by the time we kind of start getting some of that stuff figured out, it's the tensions between the United States and Britain have kind of reached a boiling point, and we end up with the War of 1812. So you can kind of see where Jefferson's thought process was. You can see how there ends up being a negative effect of that. But the Chesapeake Leopard affair was something that barely, I think, if it barely gets mentioned in your textbook, if it gets mentioned at all, and it really is kind of a major catalyst in sort of sending the United States in that direction over the next 5 years, that it's going to really affect a lot of things for the United States. So just wanted to make sure I brought that to your attention. Again, I miss you guys. We barely got to be in class at all, and here I am. I'm at home. I'm on the 2nd week of my own quarantine, and just kind of doing my best to try to hold it together. So with everything going on, but again, I'm still here for you. A lot of you have been asking me some questions, which is great. Keep it coming. I'm always here for you, and I want you to remember, as always, that you are loved and you are never alone. So keep that in mind, and again, if you need me, just contact me, okay?